Honey's Anime presents That Time I Tuned Into a Podcast Just to Listen to Somebody Shill for a Publisher. We are your hosts, Zeke and Fonzy. Fonzy is the
Hello.
editor-in-chief of honeysanime.com. Say hello, Fonzy.
What is up, everybody? How you guys doing? It's great to be here.
All right, the two of us have more than 40 years of manga and anime under our belt, which means we haven't done very much outside in our lives. And we are always excited to see a good story in whatever form it takes. All right, here comes the pitch part of the program, where each of us tells the other about an interesting manga or light novel the other has read and we think the other should read.
Mm,
Now, okay, Fonzie.
yes.
I just read Parallel Paradise. It is an isekai. It is an amazing isekai. Why? Because it is everything you wanted Yuki Rito to do in To Love Aru, but never did. I mean, this the girls in this show in this manga are all over him, and he
That's
seems very
funny.
willing, very willing to oblige.
Nice.
Um, yeah, for once, the guy is actually seems to be interested in the opposite sex instead of being that
Oh, that
stale harem.
one person
Yeah,
that's always annoyed by so many girls when he just wants to study.
yes, exactly. He's this guy seems to be like, yeah, I'm in a world filled with hot, sexy women,
Hmm.
and the first person he comes across is like a lady knight, and he's like, hey, how you doing? Little Joey Tribbiani there. How you doing? Um, uh, but for Yota, it starts with him getting tossed out the third floor window at his school.
Ooh.
Yes, and then he wakes up in another world. He does one of the things that I think is very rational. He's like, well, my body hasn't changed, so I must have been transported
Hmm.
instead of reborn. I
I
mean,
see.
yes, not too
Okay.
many of the protagonists are that well aware of
So
that.
full body, mind, conscious,
Yeah,
transferred
yep,
over. Okay. All
yeah.
right.
He seems to be very self-aware that he is now uh, a protagonist.
Okay. That setup seems pretty familiar. Kind of like Red Zero.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he just
he's
he
like,
just went to go to the corner store to get food, and the next thing you know, pop! He's like gets
yeah,
hit by a
and
car,
then
I believe.
yes, he gets murdered. He gets murdered by a vehicle and then another person in the span of what, 12 hours?
Yeah, all in one
Yeah,
episode, so you know exactly what's going on.
exactly. It doesn't leave us to think that that this is going to be a nice fluffy outbreak company
Hmm.
kind of kind of anime.
Well, I I see this manga that you just read sounds like the setup at least kind of sounds familiar to Red Zero. Of course, Parallel.
Yes,
Was it Parallel Paradise? Or
yes.
that is definitely more forthcoming to the ecchi, and
Uh, it is
man,
depending on what your upbringing is like.
uh-huh,
It very well could be uh, in the hentai
uh-huh.
category. A euphemism used is like of uh, fountain of juices.
Uh, oh, is it very wet, this anime
Very,
or this
very,
manga?
very wet. Things drip down the lady's legs, but it doesn't have to do with bladder leakage.
I kind of
So
figured and hoped that it wasn't, but
you never know. Some of these things are really screwed up.
well, that's interesting. Okay, well, yeah,
Yeah.
all right. So is it? But like, I have a question now. Then, like, how's the story versus like the fan service? Is there like a good balance between that? Because
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, he shows up in a world
hmm.
where men have not existed for 3,000 years.
Oh, sweet
I
Jesus.
do not understand how a society works that way. They have yet to
Right?
explain it.
I mean, it's not uncommon. I've heard that in other stories before.
but it's not Themyscira from Wonder Woman. Uh,
No.
but these and because women have not the women that he comes across have never met men, he's got a very overpowered mojo, like in the yeah baby Austin Powers kind of way. He's like, I'm gonna sex you up. So,
Uh,
um, it's
that's funny. Okay,
yeah,
okay, all right. So,
yeah,
I mean, I feel like the title of this manga should have been Parallel Paradise of Thirsty Girls.
yeah,
Then,
something like that. I believe it could have starred Ron Jeremy.
well,
Yeah,
hey, if Ron Jeremy knows about this, then that's already something in the making.
yes, coming soon from Wicked Pictures, Parallel Paradise.
That's pretty funny. Okay. Well, it
Okay.
seems really interesting.
Yes.
I feel like my eyes are gonna pop out of my head after every page is gonna be turning. If I check it out, I'll
Yeah,
probably.
it is one of those where I began to blush, and there's because I was totally surprised by what was in between those pages.
Cause yeah, I remember looking at the cover and I had handed it to you so you can check it out for reviews and articles and then of course this podcast. And I just wanted to make sure that cause when I receive these from the companies that we get it from, I always want to make sure that the files are perfect and that they're
Yeah.
all there so you don't have to worry about anything. And yeah, I got a couple of glances of some of the imagery because the PDF that they sent us had it start from the ending, and you had to scroll all the way down to the bottom where the beginning was. And yeah, there was.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got a glimpse.
Rated M for mature.
And R for not rated. Just,
Those
just
were always the best.
they were the best. You didn't know what to expect. All you know it was gonna be better than R.
Oh yeah. Or
Th-
those late night times when you're on like Showtime or HBO and they used to have the
oh yeah,
screen
like
that
back in the
said,
day. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that used to say like NS, you know, which break down what your
Mm-hmm.
break down what kind of scenes were in the film, which
Mm-hmm.
often meant as a high school male. Okay, that's what I'm staying up for.
Right. Well, it definitely does seem like that. Definitely like a late night kind of thing that you would read. I don't know if the ambience would change if you had read this during the day or out at a coffee shop or something. That might change the mood unless you want to do
Yeah,
it deliberately
make sure your back is to the
to
wall.
the
If
wall.
you're reading this at the coffee shop, you don't want anybody reading over your shoulder.
Yep,
My wife,
I
however, is extremely understanding.
well that's good. I'm glad. My wife actually she's understanding with the edginess too. She likes it a lot. As a matter of fact, Ishiko Reviewers was probably one of her favorite anime last season, and it was really good. To tell you the truth.
It, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was like, this is they know what the audience is. They
Mm-hmm.
really enjoyed, uh, and I thought it was very original. They're like creating the Frommer's Guide
Extremely
to
original, actually. Yeah, because there were a
yeah,
lot of points on different types of species that exist in the anime universe. I guess you can say mostly fantasy, obviously,
yeah.
but yeah, they tackled a lot of untapped information as far as
Oh yeah,
what the mind could think about, especially like an example. You had the lizard men there or the
yeah.
snake men, and you go and then they had like a little show where it involves eggs from other female snake men or snake women and all that
Yes.
stuff. So that was something that like that single episode right there definitely was like, wow, they
Or,
thoroughly
or
thought about this.
right off the bat, the thing with the elves.
Uh-huh.
Only the human thought the elves were hot, and everyone else was like, "But she's old, man.
Yeah, the
She's
other
like
elf.
200."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And then he
she's like
liked the
200.
human older woman and the
Yeah,
regular humans are like, ugh.
yeah, exactly. It was great.
Yeah, it was a very
So
nice exchange.
yeah, what have you been reading?
So I've caught up on a lot of things. I have my notes here. I've read
All
about
right.
five manga volumes already. Working on a sixth one, and then there was actually an art collection book too, but that technically doesn't count. It's illustrations basically, galleries and stuff.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, the ones that I've read, just to throw them out there really quick, Hell's Paradise is one. That was actually really good. Prince
Hell's
Freya,
Paradise was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, very good actually. Also checked out Prince Freya because Viz Media sent me a physical copy of that out of the blue. They just sent it to me, and I was like, oh, okay.
Prince Freya feels like it's a pretty boy story.
You know, by the cover, you would think that, but when you read the first volume, it is kind of it's kind of like that, but I don't know if I want to. Well, we can talk about it a little later if you want.
Okay.
Um,
Like Prince Arslan
um,
type
you
thing.
know, no, no. This one, gosh, what's the feel that I can give this right off the bat? Because I'm trying to think of something that could relate to it, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head at the moment. But it does have like the setting as if you're in what was it, Akagame no Shirayuki Hime, which is I think
Okay.
yeah, so it has that kind of setting and feel to it. It involves the kingdom, prince, and the knights or the loyalists that are with them. There's a twist in the middle of it, or well, in the middle, yeah, about the middle of the volume for volume one. There's a little
Okay.
twist, and then after that twist, it goes in a little deeper where it actually gets kind of political.
Okay.
And
So a little more like Yona
you know, possibly maybe like Yona Ladan. Yeah, I would have to say probably close to that.
or
That's a good
or
comparison.
Yona, the girl with the hair the color of the rising sun, I
Yeah.
believe I saw it translated as.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started on the translations because like I don't know what I mean. I kind of understand. So I guess going a little
I,
off topic here, but with the yeah the names for titles of manga or anime and everything, they could either be like super long, and I feel like that's because they couldn't come up with a shorter term for it, and they just stuck with the literal translation. And then you have some where the the name in Japanese is like, you know, a literal translation to a sense, but you can get the point when someone says it, it means something else.
yeah.
But when you put it through Google Translator, it's completely different from what the actual decided title was. And so
And then
it's
you have to write about it, and you feel like you're taking up your entire paragraph with just the name.
yeah, yeah, it doesn't work for titles of articles. It's a mouthful. It's extensive, and I feel like any title for manga or anime that is like at least more than 25 characters needs a freaking nickname. And
Yeah.
and the company needs to come up with that nickname officially because
Yes.
then you have the anime
Everything should
community
come
trying to
after a colon.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because then you have the anime community that are trying to argue with each
Yeah.
other to see which one's the best nickname for it or
Like
something because it's happened before.
RE0.
Yeah, like
There you
RE0.
go.
Yeah, there you go. It's just
Instead
that
of
one.
instead of starting life over again from zero in another world or whatever the
Uh-huh.
full title is. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
they're
RE0.
ridiculous.
So,
RE0.
hey,
Well, the oh, go for it. I'm sorry.
no, go.
Oh, I was just gonna say the Bofuri anime title,
Oh
manga title.
yes,
Yeah, that one. See, Bofuri, perfect. That's the nickname. But the whole
that.
thing is like you know, wanted
Oh,
to.
I did not want to. I'm afraid of pain, so I maxed out my defense
Yeah,
levels or something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
something like that. And I don't know. That anime in itself is kind of interesting. But going back to Prince Freya, that's the summary gist of it that I gave you. So basically, you have it's you know it's interesting. And there were some minor issues that I found in the very beginning, just because it kind of like had introduced the characters, and then next thing you know, it jumped right into the plot like right away, and there had to been maybe like from the second that they introduced the characters to the main plot, what happens, I felt like there is like some story missing because what I'm going to tell you right now is why I didn't really I had issues with it. So basically,
Okay.
you have a girl, and her name is Freya. So
Okay.
she is in a village outside of a kingdom, and she has two friends, or well, stepbrothers, I guess you can say in some way. So I believe Freya has her mom, who she takes care of. Her mom's a pretty badass. She's tough and
Hmm.
puts the boys in place. There's two boys. Their names are, um, let's see. I'll make sure that order is correct. Okay, yeah. So there's Aaron and Alexi. And Aaron's the Black Knight. He's the best fighter. He sits right next to the prince. He's like the prince's right hand man, basically. And then you have Alexi, who's um he's an underling. He's in training to be a knight,
Okay.
basically. And so they talk. You get to know the relationship between them. It's all happy, fun. They came back from a quest, and they met up with Freya and her mom. And then you have this nice little opening dinner, and then nighttime, and they're gonna go to sleep. But Aaron leaves, and he meets with some other knights in a group at the kingdom. And apparently they were like, "Oh, did you find her?" And he says, "No, I didn't find Freya. She was nowhere to be around." And you're like, "Ha!" So there's already your first point of interest. And so I was like, "Okay." And then they go to the kingdom, but Freya is seeing them off high in a tree because she likes climbing. She's a woods girl, and sees something happening that she's like, oh my gosh, like they're gonna get ambushed or something. So she gets on foot, I believe, or horseback, and she rushes to this kingdom. And then apparently, what's going on in the whole part of that is that this prince, who is Prince Edward, he was poisoned and is slowly dying, and it was by another kingdom or faction, I guess. And so they're kind of like trying to get the prince out of the way, out of the picture, so they can take over the kingdom. But what happens is that during the whole kerfuffle of all this happening, Freya is running and just so happens to run into the prince that was poisoned. And that's where you
Ah.
see that her and the prince look identical. And so
Ah.
I guess what it was is that they found out that the prince was poisoned and they had very little time, so they wanted to do a search for Freya because they heard from Aaron that Freya looks just like Prince Edward, and so they kind of they wanted to swap them, so the kingdom can still be upheld with the image of the prince there and not seem like people are gonna lose faith. And
So like the Patty Duke show, they were cousins, identical cousins.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so it's kind of like that. So Prince Freya and Freya at this time and Prince Edward are there, and he's like, "Oh, you really do look just like me." So like right off the bat knew who she was, and he was like, "Please, you have to take my position. I'm dying. I don't want the kingdom to fall. I don't want the people to lose faith and all that stuff. You have to take my place." And so just like that, she's like, "Okay, sure, I'll do it." And changes into his clothes and then goes out and tries to stop like this little uh
Coup d'etat.
yeah, I guess you could say it was basically going to turn into a coup d'etat. So she goes out there and she acts as the prince and is like, oh no, you guys, nothing's wrong with me, I'm alive, I'm fine, get the hell out of here, whatnot. But then apparently they tried to one of the men on the other side and tried to punish someone, I believe. I forget what it was. And Freya was in the way because this was Aaron, the main knight.
Yes.
So he's in the way of her, in between him and a sword. And by protecting her, he loses his head. Like it just shows it right there. Slice. Head falls off, and you're like, "What the heck's going on?" And then Alexi's there, and he gets really riled up, and they try to stop the fight. Freya steps up as Prince Edward a little more, just shocked by what was happening, and stops it. But apparently that wasn't really the end of it. But the person who sliced the head, he was kept or as a prisoner until they could find out what they were going to do with him. But then there was like an exchange with the other kingdom and this kingdom to get him out because it's not good political wise, I guess you can say. Uh, but yeah, like that's basically the gist of it. And so after that, that's like the hype, I think, of this volume so far. I'm waiting for the other volumes to come out
So
and
it,
check it
it
out.
feels a little bit like a more dramatic version of uh, Twelfth Night by Shakespeare. or the great interpretation by Amanda Bynes,
Huh.
"You the Man." So,
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, and those are great story. Well, the first one, I guess, from Shakespeare. That was a great story. It's a good comparison. But then that's where it ends, though. That's where the comparison ends. Because after that, it turns into kind of like a. Well, at this point, it seems like Alexei is now devoted to Freya, who's Prince Edward, and wants to become like Aaron, who is his big brother. And so, with the
but
loss of
does
his.
he? But does he know that Freya is playing the role of Edward?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Okay,
he's not dumb. Is basically what happened in there because they
okay,
because they saw him as like a bard or whatever. He's just like something.
okay.
He's there. He's a worker, but now he wants to become a knight, and so he wants to do that so he can be close to Freya at all
So,
times.
okay. But
Yeah.
are we dealing with any siscon, or is it just, let's keep
Well,
her alive?
I guess you can say that since Freya and Alexei aren't really brother and sister by blood, because
Of
Aaron and
course.
Alexei were adopted. They were found abandoned by Freya's mom, and so she took them in and raised all three of them together. So you guess you can say how it's like that. But throughout, it's very very heavy with like romance that would seem somewhat ancestral, but
So a
so,
little
so
shojo
so it has that
incest.
in there. Yeah, it has that in there. And then of course with Freya being the prince now, or impersonating the prince now, she's going through like a lot of stress. She's known for crying all the time because she's really emotional, whether it be positive or negative. And so she's now trying to learn the ways of the prince and try to provide the services and loyalty to his people, or her people, I guess you can say. And that's basically kind of where it ended off. But like yeah, all in between there's like a lot of exchanges between Aaron and Freya, and then Aaron gets his head chopped off, and now it's Alexi's turn. And Alexi's like, oh, I'm gonna protect you, but it's not love or romance yet, but I know it's gonna be.
You know it's
I
gonna
know
be.
it's gonna be. And then there's one character in between them. His name's Julius, and he's the White Knight. So he was the second highest knight next to Aaron that protects Prince Edward. So now he's protecting Freya. Um, and the interesting thing is that only Julius, Alexei, Freya, and then one other military soldier who's like a general, I guess. They're the only ones that know Freya's impersonating Prince Edward. So there's like a lot of hiding certain things and expressions and emotions that Freya's gonna have, certain things that she needs to learn to adapt to and step up so she can run the kingdom or protect the kingdom.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's basically it. So it seems nice. It's awesome. The only minor issue I had was just how forthcoming she was. Like, cause she's very emotional. She's crying. She's always questioning things. She's always worried about Aaron and Alexei and her mom and the village. And this comes up, and I guess it's just one of those moments where it's like, oh yeah, I'm dying, but you look just like me and you need to take over. And she, I guess for once, was like, okay, I'll do it. And she was
She
proud,
makes
determined.
a decisive decision to commit
Yeah,
identity theft.
yeah, it does in that moment. And then after all that coup d'etat happens, right back to being emotional, crying and scared and all this other stuff. So I'm like, I didn't necessarily like that too much. Because like it was like there wasn't like a smooth transition from her thinking about it a little more to accepting it and then wanting to do more afterwards because
Right. I
because
mean,
she's more scared, I guess.
guess they just needed to get that ball rolling as fast as they could because they were afraid they were going to
Yeah,
lose the reader if there was too much political intrigue up front.
probably, yeah. But then yeah, I expect the rest of the series to be about Freya learning to become the prince, Alexei training to become the knight to be next to Freya specifically, and then of
Mhm.
course, everyone that knows about Freya's impersonation, hiding it from the rest of the kingdom and the soldiers that are all walking around, other knights that are always next to her. And then you
And
have
everyone wondering, why is the prince looking at that knight that way?
Yeah, there might be situations like that. It's happened to the sense of with Alexei, the younger brother,
Yeah.
because I guess more worried about him and stuff. So she does kind of show that a little bit, and you can see like she has some
All
of
we
her
all we
girl.
need a maid with BL fantasies to take part in this story, and we'll be good.
You know, that's what it seems like to everyone else. The Prince and Alexei or Julius, because they're always, saying sweet nothings to her, like, "Oh, I'm your prince," or "I'm your protector, I'm your knight. So, tell me what you want, and I'll do it for you with no questions asked and all that stuff." But and they know who she is, so
Yes.
they're like, I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, or if it's just a part of them, or if they're like a red herring at some point, like after the story develops a little more. But we'll see about that. And then the other thing that does interest me though is like the political side of it, because you always have a prince or a king and their like political corner that
Right,
help
right.
run the country or the kingdom, and you always have that one bastard that just
The
he's working.
Cardinal
Yeah,
Cardinal Richelieu
yeah,
from
he's a double spy. He's
yeah.
got other ulterior motives and stuff. So yeah, and it already seems like he's definitely part of the other kingdom that was trying to start the coup d'état. Right from that point when the coup d'état happened and they introduced him, because they're all like, oh, we should. He's like already saying the guy that cut off Aaron's head, we should release him so we can be in good faith. And then they're like, no, we need to punish him. So he's like, yeah, possibly, but it might not be good for politics and all that whole 9 yards. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's nice. It does seem like it's gonna be pretty intense, more drama with some slight, BL, romantic, ancestral situations, and then you
So
got the
everything we
politics.
love Japanese manga for.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, you can't find this stuff
Yeah.
in movies.
Yeah.
Like you
No,
like not
where
really.
else are you gonna find your Otome BL
Uh-huh.
romance that takes place in a fictional kingdom? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you're never gonna find it anywhere
No.
outside Japan. That
No.
is, unless you use Viz Media, and then you can get access to this great stuff.
That's true. Yeah, Viz, Seven Seas, they have some pretty good manga that's, ecchi, good storylines, fantasy, some political stuff mixed in them, and it's really cool. I don't know about Parallel Paradise though. We'll see how much more that gets into it, but it definitely seems like it's more ecchi comedic. And
Etchy comedic. Yeah, there's just remember mature audiences only, especially considering there's full frontal. So,
and there's definitely full frontal.
yeah,
Definitely.
yes,
That's a good
but
one.
they do appreciate girls of all sizes, which I have to give them credit for that equal opportunity stance.
Yeah, that is actually, I think that's one of the main reasons why I like these Shishoku reviewers, was that they covered everything in almost
Yeah.
every aspect that you can possibly think of, and even those that you couldn't think of.
You're like, yeah, sex with a slime.
You should have, you know what? Yeah, you should have seen my face. My wife was laughing at me quite a bit, like, because certain scenes would happen, and I'll be all like, "Oh my God!" And she'd just look at me and be all like, "That's great, isn't it?" So yeah, we pretty much binged that series because we were paying attention to other anime in the beginning of the season, and then we kind of turned to that one later on, and went right through it really quick. It took like a couple days, a few days. But yeah, other than that, man, it was good. I liked it. And then Princess Freya, I mean, so far I like it. It started off nice. I wonder if it can keep the same pace. It probably can, but then I mean, I don't know.
Hey, we'll keep our fingers crossed. That they
Oh
keep
yeah,
putting one out regularly because there are too many series that end too soon and some that just go on like zombies.
very true, very true. Uh, yeah, because I guess it depends on the mangaka when it comes to manga, and
Yeah.
how aggressive he is at tackling the stories and the projects that he has. Personal lives could go on hiatus or something. You know, he
Could
has writer's
could
block.
unfortunately could die because I found that
That too.
mangaka are like the rock musicians. There's in the United States in which there's a whole bunch of them that seem to die in the middle of the process. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I
that
know.
is that is horrible and
Oh,
unfortunate for them and the readers.
yeah, it is. I mean, I totally understand that too. I mean, life, nature.
Y-
There's no controlling it, really.
It's a drawing is a hard life.
The only thing that I
But
don't like, I guess, is like how you have manga like Hunter x Hunter where it's great and then they go on hiatus and then they come back from hiatus for like a couple of volumes and then they're back in hiatus again and I'm like, ah, you
hey,
suck.
it could be worse in like I have always wanted to finish the story of High School of the Dead,
Oh,
but that's never going to happen.
yeah, I know, right?
I'd love to see how that story ends, but it's never going to happen,
Man.
unfortunately. So, you
Ah,
know, be happy that they just went on hiatus.
true. I know. I am. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is like, if I know it's not gonna happen again for whatever reason, I might be a little more welcome to that. Other than like, oh, I'm out of hiatus. I'm creating again. Oh, I'm back in hiatus. I'm like, you are just teasing me now.
It's I have lots of money right now. I don't need to work every day.
Yeah, at this moment, still have to work, but not going out and spending. So I have monies. I have monies.
A lot of us, a lot of us are not doing a lot of spending because we're inside all day.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not spending money on gas.
Stay at
But
home and lockdowns.
all right, let's close this out with a reminder that if you want the latest news and recommendations for anime, manga, and games, you need to make sure you check out honeysanime.com, the place for the anime enthusiast. We'd also love a little show of support for our show by clicking the subscribe button. Uh,
Yes. Like the
for
video, subscribe to us. We'll be on YouTube. I think SoundCloud. I'm not too sure, but definitely Spotify. So you guys can
YouTube,
definitely get that there.
SoundCloud, Podbean, whoever we choose.
Yeah,
Let's
we're
see.
we're gonna try and be everywhere. I mean,
Yeah,
even on Twitch if it's good enough.
yeah. Very high standards for Twitch.
hmm
Um,
and
so
then yeah, what we can thank the publishers,
yeah,
yeah, the
uh,
licensing
uh,
companies.
yeah. Viz, Seven Seas. Who else do we got?
Got Yen Press and Kodansha.
Genpress and Kodansha. Yes, we love their support in getting manga to us, so we can
hmm
let you guys know what is totally awesome and what they should definitely pick up.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, for Fonzie, myself, and the whole Honey's Anime team, we'd like to say thank you and gambate uh, or some, and in my notes, or
どうもあり
some
がとうご
other,
ざいます。and 頑張りましょ
yes,
う。Yeah, take
thank
care,
you and
guys.
good listening.
Yes, thank you very much, guys. You have a great day.